welcome back. We are so excited about this interview and how I want to start it off and get you guys excited about how you're going to benefit from this next 30 to 45 minutes is one of the number one trends that all of us are hearing about in 2021 is networking. We like to, call it building relationships, connecting, that sort of thing. But this is what everybody's talking about. How do we do that? Like, what groups do we become part of? How do we build up those relationships? And I am speaking to a massive thought leader and a very accomplished person in this, Nancy Matthews. And I'm just going to take a second. We've shortened her bio to read what an amazing woman we're about to talk to and how she can help us. But Nancy Matthews, she is leadership sales and a marketing expert, a master NLP practitioner, which I looked that up. It's a neuro-linguistic programming. It's a fascinating field of study to understand human behavior, communicating more effectively with other people, and fast track your personal development or professional growth. She is also a co-founder of Women's Prosperity Network. Nancy is a best-selling author, has been featured throughout the media as she has shared the stage with many of today's leading experts and thought leaders, well, because she is one of them. She's been in business since 2002 and has developed several multi-million-dollar enterprises, all this while raising two beautiful children on her own as a single mother. Go Nancy! Nancy brings more than 30 years of experience and the perfect blend of business expertise, authenticity, and heart to all of her endeavors. Nancy and her sisters, yes, real sisters, founded Women's Prosperity Network in 2008. And they've had the privilege of serving thousands of people through their collaborative network, educational and inspirational programs, coaching, and mentoring. She is the author of The One Philosophy, Visionaries with Guts, the highly acclaimed Receiving Your Riches course, and the best-selling series Journey to the Stage. Many topics that we are all talking about right now. And before we dive in with Nancy, her award that we are giving her at HipCat is for her impactful connection with Marketing with Love. Nancy is receiving this award for her connections that she has created in her community with Women's Prosperity Network and beyond. It goes way beyond that with all of the lives that she's reached. And we can all learn so much from her and her sister's works. And when I was digging into your community, Nancy, what you and your leaders are doing, I literally got so excited about this interview. I just kept going, yes, 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 love them, love everything. Especially when I read your mission, it's like a movement and sisterhood of women coming together in collaboration as a massive force for positive change in the world. And I have to tell you something cute. So my 25-year-old daughter, she's like kind of my co-producer, does videos, and she's, prepping me before this call. She goes, Mom, remember, what are we doing? We're changing the world with Marketing with Love. And I'm like, oh, that's Nancy's mission.
It is. It's totally the mission. We are so aligned. I am humbled and grateful to be here. And I have to tell you, as you were sharing, as you're looking me up and you're going, yes, yes, yes. When we host our events and ask for audience interaction, we say, give me a yes, yes, yes. And I'm like, wow, my website's creating that. Yay. So Marketing with Love, and that's, our whole conversation today about, networking and wherever we're going to end up is how to come from love in all you do. And when we can be the master of ourselves and our emotions and learn to come from love in every scenario, you will have success beyond your wildest dreams and make that positive impact in the life of everybody you meet.
That's everything. That is just, It's everything from ourselves to our family to our clients to business, right? It's just, it
Yeah.
means everything to us.
And it's not always easy to come from love, right? Especially if somebody, if you're got disappointed or got let down somewhere along the way. It takes a lot of self-mastery to be able to continuously come from love.
And I think, speaking of that, Nancy, is kind of what I think is interesting for you is when I introduced this is that the 2021, one of the top trends is networking. And here you guys have been doing it since 2008. It's not a new concept per se, because you guys have been doing it, you know, for so long, and you built such a pretty darn amazing community of powerful women. Can you tell us, like, what inspired you to do that back in 2008? We can kind of feed on that a little bit.
Sure, be happy to. So let's remember what was happening in our country here in the States in 2008. We were just starting this massive recession, depression, or whatever it is that you want to call it. So not unlike the crisis we're in today. Like, people's lives are turned upside down right now because of this pandemic. And back in 2008, when we started, people's lives were turned upside down because of all the economic crash. And prior to Women's Prosperity Network, I owned a title company, real estate investment company, and I was teaching people, I had a coaching business, teaching people how to buy and sell properties. And when all of this came about, I had already been transitioning out of the title company and mostly doing teaching, coaching, seminars, and lots of real estate investing. So on the cusp of the market shifting, what we discovered was people were feeling, you know, hopeless, frustrated, not knowing where they were, how they were going to do business, how they were going to make money, especially if you had a job that was suddenly gone. So we recognized that the best thing we could do was offer an opportunity, a place for people, women in particular, to come together, because there's always a way to make money regardless of what's happening in the economy, the environment, and in your life. It's about applying proven strategies that stand the test of time, combined with mindset mastery to actually apply those strategies. So that was the mission behind it for creating Women's Prosperity Network, and why women in particular was in part because of myself and my two sisters, our personal journey. So I was a single mom, and I always had to provide for my kids. So obviously there were men in the picture at some point in time, but not for a very long time. So I was the one that was self-sufficient, needed to provide for my kids. So I always worked. I had a second job. I did whatever I could to provide financially for my kids. And for me, I had some friends and women that I knew that were staying in miserable, abusive marriages because they didn't know how to earn their own money. Mm-hmm. So part of the impetus mission underneath it is that every woman has the power, the capacity to earn. We wanted to provide a vehicle to equip them so they could be free to make choices, to stay in your relationships or not to have to be bound because he's making all the money and I won't have money if I leave. Like, that's not good. My sister Trish and Susan, they both came up in the ranks of corporate America and saw how women got paid less, were passed over for promotions time and time again. My sister Trish is known as the results revolutionary, and she has always been a revolutionary on everything since she was a young girl, standing up for people who didn't have the venue to speak for themselves. So in all of this, we came together to have women recognize their brilliance, their greatness. And we do that by bringing other women together who shine the light on them. And we give them a space to express what their passions are, what their desires are. And then we equip them with the strategies and tools to take their messages and their products and services to the world.
Oh my gosh, that is just so beautiful.
Yeah, it's fun. Like what's really interesting is if you had told me in 2006, let's say, we started this in 2008. If you had told me, like if you had a crystal ball and you're like, oh, Nancy, I'm looking into the crystal ball for your future. You're going to lead a women's movement. I'm like, what? You think you got the wrong crystal ball. Pull that one over. and for me, it's in part because I had my own misconceptions about relationships with other women. You know, those cliches about women don't lift each other up and women are catty and women are bitches and da 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 da. Or if you go for success, then you're deemed a bitch. So you have to be timid. Oh, don't ask for too much. Don't, like, all of that. And what I found by being in this community, being connected to so many amazing women, getting to meet people like you who are up to great things in the world, is when women come together in a spirit of support and excellence and collaboration, it's like this alchemy happens where together they go further. And as a matter of fact, one of our catchphrases in Women's Prosperity Network is, we may not have it all together, but together we have it all.
Oh my gosh. I think I absolutely love that, because I think that should be the spirit of relationship building, networking, connecting, right?
Yeah.
It's like everybody has their genius. Everybody, that there's so many people are open to building those relationships right now. Have you seen a shift in the past year, I would say, because you're right on track with everything, like everybody, there's this awakening to support each other, and Girl Boss and Boss Babe and all of these guys, right? I mean, and what you're saying from 2008 and now look what we're going through as a world, global, not just United States, right? This is a global thing now that we're all dealing with. And we're still, I mean, we're on a ride.
Yeah, it's not over yet.
No, not by any stretch. But I guess my next question is, like I said, you know, you're the thought leader and have been doing this for so long, that what have you seen in the past year that kind of reminds you of 2008 or not?
So what reminds me of 2008, quite frankly, is this undercurrent of fear and uncertainty that can either motivate you to take action or cripple you into paralysis. And the uncertainty is real. Like we can't be certain about what's going to happen and when can we travel again and when can I do in-person events again. So the key is to be able to focus upon what is available right now in this moment that I do have control and power over. And the thing that we always have control over is how we are in connection and in relationship with whatever people are coming into our experience. So let me distill and let's talk about networking a little bit. Networking in the traditional sense is, hey, I'm Nancy, I'm wonderful, and I do all this great stuff, and my life is fabulous. Let's do business together. Here's my card. Like those types of quick connections, I call that the business card drop and swap, or I call it card bombing when we're in public. Here's my card, here's my card, here's my card. That is not real connection. That is not relationship building. That is really kind of starting it off in your typical sleazy sales type of approach, which doesn't resonate. When you network, when you meet people anywhere, the key to building that relationship begins with you committing to being the one who recognizes that every single person has value. And that in that moment, you're there to discover and learn about them and see why Why did you meet in this moment? Is there synchronicity on some level? Is there some alignment? Can you be joint venture partners? Do you need their services? Do you need yours? But when we show up to networking with a desire or an intention, I want to pitch my products. I'm going networking. I'm going to give out 50 business cards, and everybody's going to want to buy. That doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that it ever worked, but I know it doesn't work today.
I would, yeah, exactly. I was talking to a networked kind of guru banker guy, and he goes, I still have drawers full of business cards. Like, I have my Rolodex, right? But what's so interesting in what we talk about, you do too? Do you have like drawers like
this is bags of cards.
Yeah. Right. And then there goes, it throws it on the desk and that sort of thing. So, when we're talking about marketing with love, because here's the thing, Nancy, that you touched on that was so brilliant is, yeah, it's wonderful and everybody wants a lot. People want this, but it is hard at times because our emotions we have fear, we have ego, so that we have business stuff to worry about. So to stay at that higher level of fun and love and joy, and to constantly ask yourself, who have I served today? Like, go into these relationships in these communities saying, first, just sit and listen to these people so you can become part of their culture. And then say, how can we serve you? How can you be generous? Like, give them something. Just say, like, I just watched this really cool video on this doctor giving a thing on immune system. I'm like, I want to share that with the people in my communities, because I don't know how long it'll be up. Like, simple little things like that. Like, what can I share? Because then that keeps us at a positive, especially because we're talking about, we are on this roller coaster, right? And we don't know what hits us every day.
Yeah. And you touched upon the exact reason I wrote the book, The One Philosophy. So I know that in the heart of every human being is this desire to care about other people. We want to be able to care about other people. And the reason that we don't, there's a variety of them. Either somebody wronged us, or, we have memories or prejudices that maybe even we don't even realize, or maybe, like you said, I got to make a sale. I'm stressed out. How am I going to get all these things done? And it's all of those factors that stand between us and a real connection with another human being. But I know, because I've spoken on this to, tens and tens of thousands of people, when I speak about the one philosophy and treating each and every person you meet, every single time you meet somebody, treat them as the one.
I love that.
Right? Because when you think you're in the presence of someone who's the one, your next best client, your spouse, somebody's going to make a hookup to introduce you to Bruce Springsteen, because that's one of my dreams and visions. Very important. I'll tell more about that later. When you think you're in the presence of the one, and I noticed this in myself, and I've seen it in other people, we tend to pay a little bit more attention. We listen more carefully. We focus. We have a more vested interest in that other human being because we think they can do something for us to help us. And when I first had that realization in my own behavior many, many years ago, over a decade ago now, I was like, ooh, that doesn't feel good. I know everybody matters. What would happen? And I started an experiment. What would happen if I started to treat every person as the one? Like, be really eager and excited to meet them and find out about them. Be curious if I didn't understand. And what happened in that experiment over the course of a couple of years was life-changing for me and for every single person that I met. Because what I realized in this is people would open up to me and tell me what really mattered to them instead of pitching me their elevator speech. People shared what was really happening for them in their lives instead of just pretending everything was perfect. A true connection got created because by treating them as the one, I became the one that made them feel valued, heard, and that they were important. And that's what we're all seeking. We're all walking around with these signs of, please tell me I matter, blah, blah, that we're all walking around with those signs. So imagine how your networking will be transformed when you treat people as the one. You know, Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel.
Amen. Yeah. Could you, like, I am gonna order this book after this. It's like Rainey was talking about it. All these people were talking about it. I hear this buzz. I'm like, I have to read that book.
Well, actually, there's a brand new version coming out. So depending upon when we air and all of that, you want get the new version because I've expanded it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll wait for the new version.
I'll
wait
posted.
for the new version. Yeah. Keep me posted. I'm on it. I love it. I think it's brilliant. And I think that's kind of like, that's shown in your work, from your website to your guys' community and what you guys, you know, are sharing and helping so many women. Interesting story. I was on a mastermind. I don't know if you know Darren Hardy. He was
of course, yeah,
the editor of, you know, Success Magazine and all that stuff. You know, one of his lessons right now is basically women are taking over the world. So you need to employ some badass women. You need to take care of badass women. You need to look at this. It's like, you know, gone are the past days, because really the women have the power now. I mean, they always kind of have, but it's like so much more. So the more that we can support the younger ones, the older ones, the ones pivoting, restarting, because we have so many people in our society, Hip Cat Society, coming to us from all walks of life and different starts in their journey. And you've probably seen that too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, right? The shifting and all of that, and being able to support on so many different levels is what we're really excited about. And I see you guys doing the same thing. Do you have any like fun stories like about the One Philosophy, maybe from one of your members or your family or something that came from that, using that?
Oh my gosh, so many, because I originally, the first book came out in 2013. I've been speaking on it since 2010. And so here's a good one. So there was a woman named Joy, and she and I were board members together on a project to build an orphanage in Ghana, Africa. And she had gone to Africa, came back, and she was shipping sneakers to these kids in Africa. And this was several years ago. So she went to the post office, and she had this big box, and she's carrying it, and it's heavy, and the post office line is long and crowded, and everybody's waiting. And, you know, waiting at the post office, most people get a little cranky when they have to wait in line a long time, right? So Joy's there, and she's carrying this box, and she bumped into the person in front of her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then the person turns around and says, "Here, let me help you put it up on the counter." And she said, "Oh, it's addressed to Ghana." And she said, "Yes, it is. I'm sending shoes, sneakers to these children that I've been working with and helping them." And the woman says to her, "I travel to Ghana every month. I would be happy to take your supplies." So,
oh my,
it happens all the time. So,
wow.
So let's take a look at how that interaction could have gone differently. What if Joy was a person who was herself feeling cranky, tense, upset? She bumped into the lady and didn't apologize. Maybe she didn't even have noticed, but she has an awareness. She's read the book. We've talked. She comes from this spirit in her heart. So that when she bumped into the woman, an instant connection happened, a positive connection, a heartfelt connection. Like in any scenario, this could happen. I have another story where that somebody was actually driving in the car listening to a CD on the One Philosophy. And she happens to be an attorney in Tallahassee. She's actually one of my certified trainers because I have other people that go out and teach on the One Philosophy. And she's driving in her car and all of a sudden gets hit from behind and bumps into the person in front of her. And she was going slow and there wasn't major damage, but she had a choice of reaction. And at first she was like, ugh. She goes, well, if I was going to be the one in this scenario, how would I show up? So instead of being angry and upset, she got out of her car. Hey, oh my goodness, are you okay? Are you okay? Let's all take a moment and find what we can be grateful for in this moment. And so it was a car crash.
Yeah.
Turns out the person in front of her that she hit was a former client that she hadn't seen in a long time, and the person behind her. Like, how we treat other people in every single scenario transforms what happens next.
Absolutely.
And let me just say, I am on a mission. I know that the more people who live the One Philosophy, to seek, to find ways to love one another, and it's not always easy to love people, right? We talked about that in the beginning, I think. It's not always easy, but when we come from a desire to want to get to that human connection, even if we disagree politically, even if we disagree on issues, but if we come from a desire to want to find that place of human connection, we will heal humanity. We will unite humanity. And
Amen.
that's right. Every single person has this power and this capacity. And what I do in the book, because people say, Nancy, I want to be that way, but I'm so stressed out. I got to pay my bills. I want to be that way, but how can I be kind to my ex-husband who's not paid me child support, or to the person who attacked me? Or I've said it's not easy. And the principles in the book are 6 simple principles that give you guidance for how to live every day as the one.
I love that. I hope everybody goes out. I know that there's a new edition. I'm sure it'll be out by the time this airs. But rave reviews about your book, Nancy, and this philosophy. And I 100% believe in it. I do. And I think that this is exactly what we need is these connections and us preaching these messages to people that are already kind of doing it, going, yeah, this is how I, want to do my business. This is how I want to take care of myself and my family and other people around me, whether it's the janitor or the CEO, whether, it's just good. It's just good, and it's joy, and it's love, and it means everything it does. And even having that gal, go to Ghana and giving, we started giving to Charity Water right away as a company, even before we could afford it, because we wanted to just start that generosity and meet these people that were giving, so we can make sure and stay centered around, our why. Our marketing with love and being generous and empathetic and everything else in business that they normally didn't talk about. Like, now it's like becoming this awakening to have these conversations in business.
Thankfully. And you know what? We got to thank the millennials for that. We really do. And if we look back a little bit, so let's rewind to the conversation in 2008. Our millennial children saw their parents lose their jobs, not believe in a financial system. They saw they saw their parents suffering, and I do believe that the downfall that happened in 2008 is what led to this awakening, particularly for our millennials. And I'm going to go out there and say we're going through another tumultuous phase right now. I have faith that on the other side of this is the next level of what's better for humanity.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. It was needed. It's needed. Everything that we're going through is just having the right mindset and leaders that keep leading the way for that. And I definitely look at you for that. So I have one last question before we go into our deep dive from you being our expert. Like, if you could just give a word of advice for people like that are going into Facebook groups and trying to build community and kind of new to networking, what tips would you give them to be successful at this?
So begin by being interested and curious in the people you meet, and seek ways to share about yourself more than your business. So for example, at Women's Prosperity Network, we run our networking events and our mastermind events differently in one little shift in the question that usually happens at networking events. So if you're at a networking event, what's the typical question that someone says, hi, I'm Nancy, and they say, what do you
do?
What do you do, right? So what do you do tells me nothing about you or your passion, your interest, or anything like that. So rather than answering people with what you do, what we prompt our members to do is answer the question, and when they introduce themselves, how do you serve others in your business? How do you serve others? So for example, I could say, I'm a business coach. Hi, what do you do? I'm a business coach. That doesn't tell you anything about me. Doesn't tell you anything about how I serve. But when I answer the question, and if somebody says to me, what do you do? I would answer something like, I'm mostly known as a vision architect, because I work with people who have a vision to accomplish something great in their business or their life. And I'm able to put that blueprint together of how to bring that vision to life, whether it's marketing, messaging, amplification so it's very different than saying I'm a business coach.
So you say that to me, Nancy, I'm like, damn, she is something else. I'm going to remember you, right?
That's what you're looking for.
A business coach.
Right. I'm a business coach. Oh, you and everybody else. So that's, that would be the first thing, is really get clear for yourself on how you serve others in your business, so that when you're introducing yourself, you can bypass the what do you do with how you serve, because that's what people care about. Yeah,
for sure. Absolutely. And it's the connection. That's awesome. That is so awesome. Thank you so much for this. I could sit and talk to you, have a glass of coffee or tea for so many more hours, and hopefully we'll be able to do that someday, because I just feel so aligned and connected to you. Honestly, Nancy, this has been fun for me. I know it's going to be fun and just amazing and so helpful to everybody else. So awesome. I want to thank you, and I want you to please remind everybody right now how they can find you. Where can they find you?
So I've often said I'm very Googleable. So you can simply Google me and you'll find me all over the place. And I encourage you to become Googleable. We can talk about that another time. And nancymatthews.com, womensprosperitynetwork.com, and either one of those sites that you go to, I've got some free resources for you to support you in being the one.